Welcome to Community Solar News.
4 stories today, Ray, and 2 of them are about the same thing from opposite directions. Deadlines, the kind with an actual date stamped on them, not the soft kind you can talk your way around.
I love a deadline story. Gives the numbers somewhere to point. But let's ease into it, because story 1 is just a genuinely nice one before we get into calendar math. 2 wins first, then the deadline stuff.
Delaware.
Delaware, Dover specifically, 32 acres of an actual working farm converting over to a community solar array. Nautilus Solar's the developer.
Wait, actual farmland? Not a landfill, not a parking structure roof, an actual farm?
An actual farm. Nearly 12,000 pieces of equipment going up on it. This is Delmarva power territory, so subscribers there are looking at 10 to 20% off their bills.
And in terms of homes, what's that translate to?
About 774 once it's fully subscribed.
Why farmland at all, though? You'd think a farmer holds on to every acre he's got.
Because it's not either or, that's the thing people miss. The farmer keeps the land, just puts part of it to a second use. And honestly, given how often this beat is fights over land use, county boards, neighbors, zoning hearings, all of it, a farmer choosing this himself on his own acreage is worth noticing.
I want to flag something here, because it's rare you get a regulator just saying the quiet part out loud. Delaware's public advocate, Jamison Tweedy, put it as, and I'm quoting, "We are in a moment where we need a lot of generation, and that may need to come from all different types of generation."
Which, from a public advocate, is about as close to an endorsement as you're going to get. And Nautilus's senior VP, Eric Paul, kept it simple on the farmland piece. His quote was just, "It does create opportunity."
Short and honest. A farmer gets a second income stream off land he's still using, the utility gets generation it's clearly saying it needs, and subscribers get a real discount, not a rounding error. 10 to 20% is a bill that actually feels different every month, not a marketing number.
My favorite kind of story on this beat. Nobody's overselling it. It's just math that works for 3 different people at once, and none of them had to lose for the other 2 to win.
Keep that farm to solar thread in your back pocket, because it's about to look quaint next to what's coming.
Next one keeps a streak alive that I genuinely didn't expect to still be running.
Don't.
Illinois.
I knew you were going to say Illinois. Warren County, Machesney Park, the Shines Blocks, ComEd and Public Storage, Solar for All, and now the Illinois Power Agency just shipped Phase 2 of its Clean Energy Dashboard. At some point, we should just give the state its own segment.
In my defense, this one's an actual tool people will use, not just another headline out of the state. 23 interactive dashboards, 58 customizable filters, 14 visualized datasets, 8 searchable maps, mobile optimized too, so it's not one of those state tools you only open on a desktop once a quarter.
That's a lot of ways to slice public data. What's genuinely new in Phase 2 versus what was already sitting there?
New data sets built specifically for Illinois Shines and Illinois Solar for All, plus forward-looking visualizations on future capacity and generation trends. There's also a new category tracking the state's renewable portfolio standard progress against the 40% by 2030 and 50% by 2040 targets. There's even an updated glossary in there for anyone who needs the terminology spelled out plainly.
That's the part I'd actually use if I were citing a project there. Seeing where program capacity is trending before you file, instead of finding out after you've already spent engineering dollars on it.
IPA's director, Brian Granahan, called it, quote, "the product of tremendous effort by IPA staff, which has built this tool from the ground up in order to expand public access to clean energy data."
And their data analytics manager, Abigail Ramirez, said Phase 2, quote, empowers users to explore the state's ever-shifting world of clean energy, which is a genuinely good line for what's technically a government dashboard.
Here's my actual take, though. Half the programs in this country, you're emailing a program administrator, begging for a spreadsheet update, and waiting a week to hear back. A state just handing you 8 searchable maps and 58 filters for free should be the baseline, not the exception. It's a program design choice, and Illinois made the right one.
Agreed. And I'm still not letting you claim Illinois as a personality trait.
Fine. It's a good tool that happens to be in Illinois.
Moving on before you start renaming the show.
All right. Quick heads up before the last story. And this is one to circle on a calendar rather than panic about.
Go ahead.
New federal tariff action on polysilicon imports. 15% tariff, and underneath that, minimum import prices. $21 a kilogram on polysilicon itself, $100 a kilogram on ingots and wafers, 22 cents a watt on cells, 38 cents a watt on modules.
And when does that actually take effect?
12:01 in the morning Eastern, December 4th, so there's runway here, not a surprise landing.
What's the stated reasoning? Because those are some very specific numbers for something framed as a security measure.
It's framed exactly that way. The finding is that the volume and circumstances of polysilicon imports pose a threat to national security. And the stated reasoning is that the U.S. is, quote, virtually entirely dependent on imports of solar ingots, wafers, and cells. The floor prices exist to make domestic manufacturing pencil out against cheaper imports, and they're set separately at every step of the supply chain, not just the finished module.
How is the industry reacting, at least the side of it that's already built plants here?
They like it a lot. First Solar's CEO called it, quote, one of the most strategically significant trade measures in decades. Hanwha Q-Cells pointed to it as backing up the billions they've already sunk into U.S. factories. Makes sense. A price floor protects whoever's already built the factory.
Sure, but that's the manufacturers. Most of our listeners aren't pouring ingots, they're trying to close projects. Who actually eats this?
Whoever hasn't locked in module supply yet. A big developer with existing offtake agreements probably rides this out fine. They've already got pricing on paper. A smaller shop buying module by module on the spot market, project by project, is the one who's going to feel that floor price the hardest.
So what do you actually do with this if you're a developer or an EPC, not a manufacturer?
Lock in module pricing and supply now for anything queued up for next year. And if you're modeling a project that lands after December 4th, build the new floor prices into your numbers today instead of getting surprised by them in 6 months.
That's the whole ask. Not doom, just a number that's about to move and now you know exactly when.
Exactly.
Okay, that's the warning label. What's the closer?
Last story, and it's the deadline that already happened, which pairs nicely with the one we just covered.
Tell me.
PowerBank, up in Broome County, New York. Their Schofield project, 3.2 megawatts DC, ground mount, roughly $8 million in construction value.
And the deadline part?
They got shovels in the ground before July 4th of this year, which was the cutoff the One Big Beautiful Bill Act set for keeping Section 48E investment tax credit eligibility before it starts phasing out. Miss that date, that credit is just gone.
So what did actually beating it mean for them in real dollars?
About $3.2 million in ITC value at the 30% commercial rate. On an $8 million project, that's not a rounding error. That's the difference between a project that pencils and one that doesn't. And it's a number that only exists because somebody watched the calendar, instead of just the permit stack.
And it serves how many homes once it's live?
About 400 once it's fully subscribed. Smaller project than the Delaware one in subscriber count, but the ITC math is what makes this one worth talking about.
Is this a one-off for PowerBank or part of something bigger? What's their pipeline actually look like?
Over a gigawatt in development, and more than 100 megawatts already completed. So Schofield's one entry on a pretty long list, but it's a clean example to point to if you're ever explaining to a client or a lender why construction timing matters just as much as permitting timing. The paperwork doesn't save you if the shovels aren't moving.
So today, in one sentence, one developer already beat a deadline, and everybody else just got handed a new one to start planning around, whether they like the calendar or not.
Wasn't planning it that way, but I'll take it.
Okay, 2 quick things before we let you go. First, our sponsor.
Our Power Co. You build the solar, we bring the community.
If you're a developer or an operator sitting on capacity you need filled, that's the whole business, full stop. Community solar customer acquisition nationwide. Reach out to Our Power Co. if that's you.
And since we just spent a whole segment on federal deadlines and where costs come from, worth saying we're picky about the AI we build this show with too. We use tools from companies that cover their own energy and water costs instead of pushing them onto somebody's local grid. On an energy show, that felt like the least we could do.
If you're listening as a homeowner or renter instead of a developer, this part isn't really aimed at you, but we'll still point you the right way. Go to joincommunity.solar to actually subscribe and knock something off your own bill.
And every number we said today, the megawatts, the dollars, the dates, all of it, it's sourced and linked in the show notes so you don't have to take our word for any of it.
One more thing before we go. If you want the day-to-day between episodes, we put out a free daily rundown called the Solar Docket over at communitysolar.news.
Find us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or YouTube if you'd rather watch than listen. And swing by communitysolar.news for the newsletter too. I'm Ray.
I'm Della, and that's the community in Community Solar.